Hello viewers, welcome to another health talk. Don't forget to subscribe. So today again in studio, this is me, Isaac, with Mr. Daniel and Mr. Simon. So today we have a topic that we want to tackle. Last time we talked about the introduction, we tackled a bit of mental health. Today we want to talk about teenage pregnancy. Yes, teenage pregnancy. So we want to know what is teenage pregnancy and what are some of the causes of teenage pregnancy. And you could be out there when it's one of the things that's really affecting maybe your family or you yourself as an individual, as a teenager or a parent who have teenagers in the home and they're yet to experience this. So, what is teenage pregnancy? Please, Mr. Simon, will you elaborate to us more about this?
Okay, hello our good viewers outside there. With teenage pregnancy, at first we know the teen age, which is between 13 to 19. But for the case of pregnancy, the teenage pregnancy, we do not really focus on the age because of the difference in the adolescent stage that sets in girls. So we would rather say teenage pregnancy is the period from which a girl gets pregnant from the time she's of a fertile age, or the age from which she starts adolescence to 19 years of age. Thank you so much.
Okay, so we are saying that teenage pregnancy is that kind of pregnancy that is conceived between the age of 13 to 19, right?
Yeah. Well, we would say that, but there has been changes with the current lifestyle, like foods we eat and all these other things. So you realize that there has been a shift, or not really a fixed time under which these girls undergo what? Their ovulation, under which they start. Some start at 10, some at 11, you get? That's why we cannot really commit to 13, though it would be maybe, if it's a teenage, it's 13, but with pregnancy, we can start from the time of ovulation. Yeah, thank you.
Okay, so what would be the right age for someone, for a girl to conceive, like what do experts say about the right age? Because we could be condemning teenage pregnancy, yet it is the range. Someone say, I'm 18, I'm supposed to do this. What do you think would be the right age range?
Okay. Well, this goes first of all according to society. You realize that there are, like in Western world, and us decide there is a difference. But the normal, like for example in Africa, the normal could be either early 20s or late 20s or early 30s. You get? But depending on the society, you realize that some get at 25, so it depends on the society really, but in most cases conventionally it starts from late 20s to early 30s, and it also follows your achievements as a person. Yes, thank you.
Okay, in Uganda we've seen that the statistics since the prevalence of COVID in 2020 to 2021, we've seen like over 650,000 pregnancies in teenagers. Mr. Daniel, what do you think about this, and what could be some of the causes of all this?
Okay, thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. As we have seen that over the last 2 years, which have actually been the years we've been in lockdown due to COVID, and all that, we've seen the number of teenage pregnancy cases actually escalate according to the statistics that are being given. So we can say that this is due to because actually these young people, the teenagers, have been at home in the society and not really being engaged, and when they are idle, such kind of things, there is a possibility of them starting to being introduced to sexual activities, and also the closeness within these people has really, the young people, actually you might find that this is something which is happening between young people and young people, and also between the young girls and the adults, you know. So that has really contributed a lot to the increase of the teenage pregnancy cases over the last 2 years. Yeah, but away from that, even before COVID, we've been having teenage pregnancy as a challenge in the community. Yes, we've been having challenges. So meaning that there are many more other causes of teenage pregnancy that we should really look at. Because if we know the causes, we have the chance to know how to intervene and tackle this challenge. Yes.
Yes, Mr. Simon, what do you think are some of the causes of teenage pregnancy in Africa and your community in specific?
Well, thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. My take on the causes, first of all, on a general aspect, we can talk about society, how society takes teenage pregnancy. I give an example, my own society, my own village, you get, where I come from. It could also really link to I think poverty. But when a girl reaches a certain age, let me say between 13, when she's now getting to 18, there's a lot of pressure from the parents forcing her to get pregnant. I'm not really saying all, but most, you get, forcing her to get pregnant so that they can get a fee. They always call it fine. You get, you realize that at that age they give a girl reasons to be pregnant. They may not really be direct. They can start being so like they can start giving her an environment that cannot favor her being, you get. They can start punishing her in a way, and they keep telling her, you go and get married, you get. But what they are targeting is once she gets pregnant, they can get that small money from the parents of the boy, you get. And that's enough for them, you get. And you realize that it's not just parents alone, but it's some kind of a belief from even others. You find men are telling other men they are proud of how their own got pregnant, so what's wrong with yours, you get. So you realize that it's not just about the girl, but it's about the society. So even girls themselves, they take it, they know it, you get. Like they are aware that when they reach a certain age, there is what is expected of them, you get. So you realize that it's just not about the mistakes, but some of these girls do it because they really want to be in harmony with their parents. Of course, for them they can't give an environment of your I'm doing it because my parent wants it. But as a young girl that you're punishing home and is finding a young man who is praising her, she will have no option, you get. Then it brings me to poverty. You get? Like instead of us, we imagine by mistake it happens. Instead of us punishing, instead of us using laws to combat or whatever, we are more of what we benefit from the mistake. You get? We are more of wanting to benefit from what has been affected. You get? So you realize that people are happy with what's going on.
They're taking advantage.
They are taking advantage of it. So even if a girl sees another, maybe a friend was pregnant, and they say they praised her over what happened, she'll also not feel it as a big thing when she by mistake gets pregnant. Actually, it will instead encourage her. When we talk about also parents as a role, if parents are not also playing their role, also it is a big load for the kids to play it alone. You realize that these kids, some of them, when they start these adolescent stages, there are certain cycles, certain changes in their bodies that they can't explain. Sometimes they don't know what happens. So this kid or this child, this young girl is very ignorant about what's going on. So you realize that she will get pregnant when she's not aware. You get? So parents also can play a big role towards this, not just guiding them, but at a certain age, these young girls, there are things they need. There are things they really need, things like pads, basic needs they need, and that age comes with coping, comes with trend, comes with exploring, wanting to know what's new. You get? So there are certain things they are expected to have fashion wise. So if you don't provide for your girl financially still, there is a boy outside there who will give 1,000 and 1,000 will turn into something worse. You get? It will have a big impact. So these girls, there are certain things they need. I know of a scenario that the parent, sorry, the young girl asked for money to buy pads from the father, and unfortunately the father gave the money but said, next time don't ask it from me. And this is a girl who is an orphan. So whom do you think she's now going to ask from? Or even if she doesn't ask, but if there comes a chance and the boy presents himself, of course she will be taken. She will think, in ignorance, she will think he understands me better than my dad. Though the other one is also coming for his own interests. But he will feel loved, he will feel he's safer to him, he's closer. And whatever point, even if it's leading the girl to dangers, she will think it's the right path. You get? I think, Mr. Daniel, you can understand this idea.
Yes, well, thank you so much, Mr. Simon. The point you just talked about, the last point of inadequacy or inadequate provision of the things, especially the girl child needs, the girls in their teenage, in their teenage age need. But also, there is something that I have observed as a person, and this was when I visited some of these places which are actually having high prevalence of teenage pregnancy. You realize that when you go to these communities, the people there have this kind of mentality that has made teenage pregnancy a normal thing, you know. So it's as though it's something normal in the society, so they don't mind if it's happening. So a young girl of 13, of 14, of 10, 11 gets pregnant, and actually they even know the person who is responsible. It's not a secret, and they treat it as normal. It goes unreported. Nothing is done about it. And even the person actually responsible for it, who is an adult, is moving freely around in the community. It goes unpunishable. It's not reported to the authorities. And so it is a challenge. And also another thing is that we've put efforts most of the times on sensitizing the girls, the young girls themselves. But you realize that teenage pregnancy doesn't come as a result of an activity or sex within a girl herself as an individual. It happens between two people. So we've sensitized, we've tried to talk to our girls, giving all this information and that, investing in that, but we've not also looked at the other part, the other gender, our gender, the male gender. You realize that if actually we put efforts on also sensitizing the male teenagers, the male adults on the possible negative consequences of teenage pregnancy and how it affects our society, it could actually help, because you realize that these young girls, most of the times, they are actually persuaded by these by these male adults, by these other young male teenagers. So if we sensitize them that if actually this continues to happen, this is how it affects our society. This is how it affects the family status of tomorrow, the things that are going on in the society. Because you realize teenage pregnancy actually it's a cycle. It's a cycle. It goes on like that. Maybe that's for another day. Yes, but we also look at that part. And so maybe another cause that I can talk about, then these are the common causes that we could be knowing. Limited services, limited resources like contraceptives, health services, thank you, that could be used in combating this teenage pregnancy. Yeah, and also you can talk about the perception by the community. That's what I've been really talking about.
Yeah.
Yes.
So, Mr. Daniel, I'm very happy with the point you brought, and I'm very interested in it. The point that you talked about us not minding about the boys as also part of the people that contribute to this. It's a very, very serious point that we have as a society, as a community, as a country, as a nation, as a continent, as the world have in most cases not given a keen interest at. Let me give you some simple statistics. If you realize very well, if you sensitize 10 girls, and out of 10 girls, let me say if 10 girls get pregnant, like if they are unaware, they involve themselves in sexual acts and they get pregnant, those will be 10 pregnancies. If you get 10 boys and you do not, they are not sensitized about the dangers of teenage pregnancy, and they involve themselves in teenage pregnancies, in unprotected sex while they are still young, you realize that a boy is able, even in one day, to pregnant even 3 girls. You get? So you realize that if it is affecting 10 girls, it will remain on 10 girls. But if it's 10 boys doing it, they can even do it to even 30 girls. You get? So if you sensitize 10, then out of 10, 5 listen. You get? But 5 become pregnant, God forbid. But if they do get pregnant, you have saved 5. You get? Yet on the other side of boys, you sensitize 10, 5 don't involve themselves in the sexual acts and unprotected sex and what have you. Then 5 involve themselves in unprotected sex and cause pregnancy. You realize that perhaps there are chances that one boy may pregnant 3 girls. Another boy may pregnant 2 girls, another one 4 anyway. You get? You know that only 5 have created an impact of pregnanting like 15 girls. You get? So you realize that the side of boys is also very, 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 very keen. It will help us reduce the number even more. You get? Also, we are not talking when we live even poverty aside, but also occupation. Of recent, we realize that our workplaces also, we work from morning to evening, and our kids, our children, are left home alone from school to home. The only person they talk with is a maid. You get? As a parent, some of these parents come home maybe once a month. You get? They work very far, and maybe the children stay home with the maid. And this maid is not someone who has learnt a lot, maybe, perhaps. And you realize that he has nothing to add on the kid, because actually the kid orders the maid to do what she wants or what he wants. So you realize that we're not giving our children time. They don't know what's good and what's not good. Imagine the teachers don't teach them about this. As a parent, what are you doing also? You're not giving them time. Yes, you're making money for them for their future. But what's the future with the spoiled kid? You get?
And also at that point, you should remember that this is the kind of time where we have access to all sort of things through internet, through social media. What we have access to all sorts of things that actually make us as young people more inquisitive, want to explore all these kind of things. So you realize that the content that your child is consuming from all this kind of knowledge that is available and information and all these kind of videos, movies, magazines, and all that we are exposed to, will need a certain kind of guidance that can come through, of course, the parents. Just adding on what Mr. Simon has been saying, the parents. Yes, we may not be able to of course, they have this liberty of access to information, but after having access to this information, they need this kind of guidance to know how to handle this kind of information, for it not to affect them to the extent of leading them to teenage pregnancy. So if they don't have the guidance, obviously they have friends outside. There are other people that have their own kind of intentions. They will come in and start giving them their kind of guidance, which would not obviously leave them as the kid you wish to raise as your child. Yeah, that's what I can add on.
Thank you very much. You see, that has been a very good overview of the teenage pregnancy. And you see, amongst the things we see that, like we talked last time, the health delivery system, especially in Africa, we are lacking that session whereby these adolescents can receive counseling. And then apart from the parenting, so of course the parenting has a lot to do to contribute to that. But then you discover nowadays parents are so busy doing this and that, and some of the things you discover in Africa, some parents are scared of talking to their children about sex and sex education. You get, and then you find you leave them in the gap of finding everything on their own. And you know, when you're growing up, most times when people have that to explore and find out how does this work out. So we find that if we have a health system that can accommodate, instead of someone just going to school, but even at school you can find all those counseling services that they are really impacted. It would really help to eradicate and help out, because we are lacking that. So it's one of the the gaps that is really
Yes.
need to be mended up.
Yes.
Yeah. So, do you have any additions before we conclude today's?
Yeah. Thank you so much, Mr. Isaac. What I can add on or finish with is that you realize that in the midst of these unfortunate causes of teenage pregnancy, the good news is that there are actually possible solutions that can be applied and fixed in these gaps. And so maybe we shall talk about that. But there are possible, and if we really look into that and we put those measures in place, and we put our emphasis on the rightful measures that are to be taken, teenage pregnancy can really be brought down to a great
Yes, Mr. Simon, what are your conclusion remarks?
My conclusion remarks are the first thing our viewers you should know is teenage pregnancy. We may have not exhausted all the causes that all of us know, but as we keep interacting, we are going to exhaust all, I believe, for next sessions. The other thing I can tell you people, our good viewers, is teenage pregnancy cannot just be caused by one reason, one cause. That if I talked about this, so you just only combat that and you think you have solved teenage pregnancy. It's a combination of very many causes. You get that you don't just need to tackle one, you just need to tackle all. Like you guard your child from all the sides. You get like the way you can when you're building a house from foundation, you use the best cement, up you use the best bricks, on top you use the best roofing. You get so guide with every cause you feel can even trigger. Then the other thing you should know is teenage pregnancy sometimes is not itself a big like a big point of affection, but what brings the main thing is how do we handle pregnancy, teenage pregnancy? You get how do we handle so that we avoid further problems that have been brought. You get so next time I so believe we are going to talk about the solutions, how to go about it, how to prevent it. Yeah, thank you so much, Miss Isaac.
Thank you very much, Simon and Daniel, for today's health talk. Next time we're meeting and we shall be talking about the possible solutions. Not so?
Yes.
Yeah, we shall be discussing about the possible solutions to teenage pregnancy. So our viewers outside there, keep in touch, subscribe. Every Thursday we shall be here talking about health, and if you want to join us, you're so much welcome. We have more seats in the house and we are free. You're welcoming. You comment, you can add on the causes of teenage pregnancy down there in the comments, and see you next week.